Thought we'd take just a few minutes and do a little more of a laid-back approach to Abraham Lincoln. I want to introduce you to Brian Jenkins. Brian is an awesome Abraham Lincoln, but Brian has had some incredible experiences, and he represents and attends a variety of conferences and assemblies where he is Abraham Lincoln, talking Constitution, talking all the kinds of things that we need to hear. So we thought we'd take just a minute or two. Brian, would you take just a second or two and bring us up to speed as to what have you been doing lately, who you've been talking to, and what's your reception been like?
So it's been kind of fun to meet some of the big people. When I went back to Washington D.C. and the congressman there would take pictures with me.
Sure.
And so that was kind of fun. I was here at a convention in Utah back maybe 4 years ago or so, and here are some of our congressmen, our federal congressmen, that were at this state convention, and people were coming up and wanting my picture, but not theirs. They probably didn't know them, but they knew Lincoln.
Sure.
And I was like, hate to hurt anybody's feelings. But there's something different, and so stewardesses and stewards on the airplanes. I've had a couple of them say, I don't ever ask for celebrities' pictures, but I would like yours. Obviously, I'm not Lincoln, but I get to ride his coattails to some degree, and sort of be Lincoln a little bit. And I think it's a little bit of a blessing, maybe. So now I'm speculating, but I see his great-great-grandparents were the Barnards, and so I come through that same line. So I have his genetics. I think that we share DNA. I find myself thinking that I kind of feel how he might have felt as I read through Doris Kearns Goodwin's book, Team of Rivals. I read about what's happening, and I kind of feel like I know what he was thinking and how he was feeling. He had such a forgiving nature, and lots of things that he did are just the opposite of what my inclination would be. So that sounds backwards. Sounds like maybe I'm not connected to him. But then as I see, as it keeps coming up, and I see this pattern of how he interacted with people, and how unbelievably beneficial it was for him to interact in that way, I see that he interacted with people in a way that is just the opposite of maybe it's our pattern, maybe it's human nature. He acted in a way that was absolutely contrary to human nature. The way that he dealt with people who were traders in his day, they know that the traders were all over the West. I mean, all over America, and they didn't know what to do, and they created these oaths that people who took office had to take. And so to be able to interact with these people, and I think some of them actually ended up changing their minds and joining him in the cause of freedom. I just feel like that this is a miraculous thing. But anyway, that's not the question you asked. You asked, how did I, what have I been doing? And I went and was at Glenn Beck's art showing in Park City. So I think it's called Park City Fine Arts. They brought a bunch of paintings. One of the paintings was the Lincoln painting. So it's the first painting that he's presenting and talking to the group of people. And so his back was turned when I come walking in to be part of this group. And so he's talking about Lincoln and the painting, how he did it, and he turns back around, and here I am, and he was totally befuddled for just a moment. And he walks over and he touches me on the cheek. He says, "I hope this isn't weird." He says, but he says, You've got the same cheekbones as Lincoln. So he knew his face. He painted every inch of his face. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's probably that DNA has made its way to me. Obviously. Well, I should say obviously. I look at him and he doesn't look like me to me. But
Well, he looks like me. He looks like you.
we look
like you.
alike to you. Yeah, and people say you look exactly like him, and I'm like, wow, I cannot see it.
Really?
You know, I'm like, I got the same beard. You know, the beard looks pretty similar, but that is about it.
Let me ask you a question. When we had an opportunity to talk to those who were portraying George Washington and Ben Franklin, they talked a little bit about opportunities that they've had to talk with youth. Are you getting those opportunities to talk to some of our teenagers a little bit about Abraham Lincoln?
Yes. The youth, that's a message, the Lincoln message. And when I present, I like to go be Lincoln for a few minutes. So I'll use the Southern drawl. We don't have any recordings. We don't know really what he sounded like. But, you know, I know that he said, instead of earth, he said earth. Mm. They say that he said, so sat was sought. So I use this Southern accent, you know, that's as close as I can really figure out. And I'll go present as though I'm Lincoln to the youth. They totally respond. And school kids will come and they'll mob me and they'll hug me. And I just think that, you know, part of it is just part of the miracle of you know, I think that, see, so I feel a little bit emotional when I say this, so I'll try and keep a grip on this. But I believe, you know, that Lincoln has a claim on America. No other president, maybe I shouldn't say this, I don't know this, but no other president talks about this. in a book called 50 Years in the Church by a guy named Charles Chiniquy, I think his name is pronounced, he said that Lincoln said that he knew his life would be required for America, and so when we'd already lost you know, hundreds of thousands of men in the cause of freedom on behalf of the North, and but there's something about knowing that your life will be taken that's a little bit different. A soldier doesn't ever know for sure that his life will be taken. And a soldier had a 1 in 10 chance of being killed. So he had a 90% chance of surviving. But now Lincoln said that when he read the Old Testament and read about Moses, that he had this whispering so the scripture says of Moses, Moses said, "Thou wast angry with me for their sake." So Moses was not allowed to go into the promised land. And Lincoln knew that he would not be allowed to go into the new America.
This sounds an awful lot like Joseph Smith, who also had similar feelings and similar knowledge that his life would be taken for that cause as well. I've all but given up almost on adults, but I am very concerned about the youth. I want them to understand the Constitution. I want them to know what their rights are. And I want them to appreciate their heritage. So do you feel like we're making some inroads?
I haven't felt like that. Certainly there are some of the youth that you bump into, but hope it's okay if I say this. So I went to my daughter's ward. And afterwards, some of the board members, and so they're all young, they were all coming up to me afterwards and wanted some pictures and some books. I signed some books, and I was talking to them, and their ability to see past, to see behind the curtain, to see the unseen hand is really mitigated. They can't see past. To them, they believe that the media is legit. They believe that the media is presenting a true picture. You and I know that it's not.
No, it's very discouraging. Very discouraging. Yeah, I know what you do is very trying. As I've interfaced with, in particular, our friend Gary Van Dolzer, who plays George Washington. There are times I know when he wants to give up. It's too trying. It's too taxing. I hope you don't ever give up. I hope that you'll always try to portray, as you have for us, Abraham Lincoln, because it's so important for people to know the truth and to know what he represented. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave?
One thought. We know, and the youth they know that there's an unseen hand, but it's so hard for them to get their minds around. And not just the youth, all of us. There's something so disquieting about there being an unseen hand. We want it to be that what we're seeing is the real thing. So the idea that what we're seeing is not the real thing is just so disturbing that people they can't accept that. But the Pinkertons were in Lincoln's day, they were trying to keep Lincoln alive, and the unseen hand was what they were the most worried about. And every time there was the unseen hand would concoct a plot, and they would find out about it. We don't even know how many they didn't find out about. But each time they would find out one, they would go and work with Lincoln to tell him about it. The first one being on the trip to Washington D.C. on the train. They thought that he was going to be killed in Baltimore. There was a plan to kill him, and so they changed his train and of course the media they painted him as a coward. Oh, look at this! He's sneaking into Washington D.C. in the nighttime, coming in like a criminal. So anything can be spun, and then each time there was another assassination attempt that was uncovered, they would file it. And by the time Lincoln, one of them finally got him, there were 80 in this file of assassination attempts.
My goodness.
That's, over the course of 4 years, that's, I guess that's 20 a year,
That's incredible. Well, Brian, I, for one, am very, very grateful for what you do, and hope you're being blessed because of it, and hope you'll continue. I hope you've enjoyed your stay with us today.
A pleasure.
You're a good man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.